Hello guys, this is PushDustIn with Source Gaming, and joining me today is Infinity Alex.
Hey.
Today Nintendo just dropped a whole load of news with Breath of the Wild having an expansion pass. Now the expansion pass will have two DLC contents, one that will come in the summer and the other one that will come in the winter. In addition, if you get the expansion pass, you'll get some free content that will be, well, not free content, but you'll get some content that will be immediately available within the game, which includes a Nintendo Switch logo shirt and two useful items. What do you think about the expansion pass? This is the first time that a Zelda game has had DLC, or I should say a mainline Zelda game has had DLC, and it's I think caught everyone on surprise.
Yeah, I'm more of a casual Zelda fan. I've played A Link Between Worlds. I think I did some way through Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. But like you said, and as far as I know, there's never been any kind of DLC like this in a Zelda game. I don't think, apart from Hyrule Warriors, Zelda has never had DLC full stop.
Yeah, well, Triforce Heroes has had DLC, but
right,
it was free.
Yeah, I forgot about Triforce Heroes. But yeah, if that's free, then that's kind of different. But what concerns me a bit is that some of this is on disc, and while it's small stuff, like the logo shirt, for example, it's just kind of concerning a little bit. It's interesting to see if this is the attitude Nintendo is going to be taking with future games with on-disc DLC. Another example of game companies doing this is Dragon Ball Xenoverse series, for example. That has Goku Black as day one purchase, and I can see why companies do this. They want to motivate early sales and stuff like that. But it's strange to see Nintendo, who is this company who has for so long been focusing on the base gameplay experience, and even with DLC has been doing free DLC and stuff like Splatoon, to start adopting a more prominent approach. Because in my mind, the last time I remember them doing this with a paid approach is Smash and Mario Kart 8. And obviously everyone was very happy with that DLC. But here, the DLC seems to be a little smaller, like hard mode, for example. That used to be a base feature of Zelda games. And I'm not sure how people are going to take to it that they're making it DLC now.
Well, one thing is it says new hard mode, so it's not clear if there's going to be a hard mode already in the game, or if there will be an additional mode that the DLC will offer.
Oh, right, so that's new to me then, because when I read hard mode, I thought it was just the same kind of hard mode that previous ones have had, just like enemies doing extra damage, maybe have faster attack patterns. And I know some people have said that if it's like Master Quest, which remixes dungeons and whatnot, then they might be fine with that. But I think the perception of this DLC, especially the hard mode, for example, would be, I mean, obviously Nintendo announced it just a few hours ago, really. So it's hard to judge the reaction to it yet, but I think perception would be more positive if it came later down the line, even though some of it is day one.
Yeah, kind of announcing it early on is kind of giving a lot of people, I think, a bad taste in their mouth.
Yeah.
Because as you expect, people think that this is cut content. This is content that was meant to be in the game, but they kind of sliced it off and sold it piece by piece.
Yeah, and that has never really gone down well. And while I don't expect Nintendo to do it to the extent that other companies has, one of the more infamous examples of this was Deus Ex: The Fall, which basically cut out a part of the story and made that into its own minisode game, which people had to pay for. Now, of course, that was bundled in the director's cut, but at the time, people weren't happy that they had to pay for something which allowed them to understand the story better. And while I don't think the additional story for Breath of the Wild's DLC will be that upsetting for people, it's kind of a slippery slope. Like, how far do you think Nintendo will go until they say, okay, that's enough?
They're still relatively new to DLC. I mean, they had a lot of games on the 3DS and the Wii U that had supported DLC, and for the most part it was good. As you mentioned, Mario Kart 8, Super Smash Bros., they all had really good DLC.
And while paid DLC is sometimes a great thing, and it's generally always justified because making DLC does take resources, I'm just very apprehensive about this kind of early adopters DLC.
Well, with Zelda, you have no choice but to get both packs, so to speak. You can only get them both, and they together they cost $20.
Yeah, that's £19.99 for Brits.
So do you think that with the features that they have, with the content that they have included with all of the stuff, do you think it would be worth the $20, or do you think it's still too early to tell?
I think it's too early to tell, but if it's confirmed that you can only get these together, that is a bit worrying. Like, not worrying, but that's a bit disappointing to me, because I bought all the Mario Kart DLC, all the Mario Kart 8 DLC, and I love it. But I understand that there are some people out there who may not want all that DLC, or may not have the money to pay for all that DLC, so they might just want little chunks. Like, I myself would only really be interested in getting that additional story, and maybe the Switch t-shirt, but that's, you know, who wouldn't want to get a Switch t-shirt?
Oh, on the Wii U you can get the Switch t-shirt as well.
Yeah, that's kind of strange.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
Yeah. You can tell who the favourite child is here.
Yeah. I'm a little iffy about it as well. I think the Cave of Trials, which is usually, or has been part of the main game, being delegated to DLCs is a little off. Still unsure about the hard mode. If it's a new mode, then that'll be great. If it's just the hard mode that we had in Twilight Princess HD, then that would be a real letdown.
Well, full disclaimer here, I have tried to avoid as much as possible about Breath of the Wild because I'm getting this day one with my Switch and I don't want to be spoiled for it. So I've seen stuff like the Switch presentation trailer, but I wasn't too familiar with the Cave of Trials. But from how you describe it, the best parallel that I can think of this is the additional DLC maps for Fire Emblem Awakening and Fire Emblem Fates, which have proved very popular, especially ones like Apotheosis, which provided a very tough challenge for veteran players, which was it got very positive reception, so it could see the success that those maps have.
But it was part of a main, I think it was part of Twilight Princess.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like non-DLC in the game.
Ah.
And that's actually how you level up your Wolf Link amiibo. So
I'm thinking then that this could be kind of segments of that then. This could...
Yeah.
I'm assuming when they say this, they mean they're going to offer unique individual challenges. I don't think it's going to be anything rehashed, and I don't think they're going to block off...
Yeah, I'm sure it would be new content.
Yeah, I don't
But I'm saying that they had the mode in the previous game, but it was part of the main game. Now it's part of DLC.
It's kind of apples and oranges, really. Like, with Twilight Princess, let's say they had a design document saying all the things that are going to be in the game. That was probably there. And with Breath of the Wild, they probably have the same kind of thing. There's so much allocated to, okay, this is what we're going to make for the base game.
Yeah.
And then later into development, I mean, I've heard Breath of the Wild's in post-production now, so they may have begun to say, okay, let's focus on making DLC. Here's what we can do. How about bring back the Cave of Trials?
Yeah, it might have not have been prioritized.
And it's not like we're speaking about something like Sakurai here, who many people see as a visionary. He has said that the DLC content in Smash was only started after the game was complete.
Had gone gold.
Yeah. And with the exception of Mewtwo, who was a special character for those who initially picked up both versions of the game, every single piece of DLC content for Smash is being released after the game's initial release, back in October and then December, I think, of
And the DLC production was several months.
Yeah, and we've been able to see that play out. So it's kind of difficult to really get the perfect kind of comparison here, because even though Smash and Mario Kart and Breath of the Wild all come under the umbrella of Nintendo developed games, they're being headed up by different teams, so it's kind of hard to tell how they're working and how they're thinking about these things.
Yeah, we're not really sure how Aonuma will really approach DLC versus how Sakurai has approached it.
And of course, something else to think about is Sakurai doesn't work for Nintendo. He is his own entity who has to be contracted by Nintendo, whereas Aonuma is an, I wouldn't say employee, I mean, maybe technically he is, but he is working for Nintendo. So he may be under certain obligations, which Sakurai didn't have. So maybe it has been Nintendo's decision to put out this kind of DLC, rather than anyone specifically on the team, such as Aonuma.
Okay. Well, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Only that I wish we could get whatever this t-shirt is going to be in real life, because I'm assuming that it's going to be stylized to Breath of the Wild, even if the logo isn't. Yeah, like,
I hope so.
I want a little...
It would be really lame if it's just
little,
the Switch logo.
Switch t-shirt with like Sheikah markings around the sleeves and stuff. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, this hasn't ruined my hype for Breath of the Wild at all. I am still immensely excited for this game. This is speaking as someone who isn't a hardcore Zelda fan, and I probably will end up picking up the DLC because I'm a sucker for this stuff. But I think it's something to just be you need to be observant of it.
Yeah, I think I'm the same way. I'll definitely pick up the expansion pass because I picked up all of the DLC for Hyrule Warriors and Hyrule Warriors Legends. I'm, strong supporter of that, and I just think that, with a lot of people calling out other companies for this kind of practice, and we don't have the full details for Nintendo, I think it's important to have a discussion about how Nintendo's handling it and see if it lines up with the stuff that we don't like.
Yeah, and as a counterpoint, Nintendo has done a lot of free DLC. Like, we've had Splatoon 2 is getting free DLC, they've already announced that. So, yeah, it's kind of best of both worlds, really. Like Nintendo's mobile approach, we had Mario Realm, which was completely paid for, nothing else, and now we have Fire Emblem Heroes, which you can pay for additional stuff if you want. So it's important to respect that Nintendo is trying to give consumers the perks of each kind of DLC model.
Yeah, and I think they're still trying to figure out what works for them and what their customers want.
That is the main thing with the Switch. This is Nintendo coming up to date. This is Nintendo being on the same page as the other developers and manufacturers of video game consoles. And while they may have made some decisions which are less than popular, such as the idea of basically renting an NES game for the subscription service, it's important to realise that this is Nintendo taking their first steps into something that is modern.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you. So, Infinity Alex, where can people find you?
Well, I'm around on Twitter, I guess. Sometimes I frequent Serena's Forest, the forums, and sometimes I pop up on Reddit. I don't really have any kind of place or website. I'm kind of a hobo, really, but you might see me on Source Gaming sometimes, writing articles.
Yeah, you wrote that article. Was it about Kirby
on the GameCube?
Yeah, Kirby, right? The development of the
Sadly, I've not had time to write anything since, but hopefully that should change soon. I should have some time on my hands to do some other stuff, so I hope everyone will be looking forward to whatever I produce, because it's always fun writing.
Thank you. You're also an artist, so you're accepting commissions, I believe, on your Twitter.
Yes. Well, yeah, I'm accepting commissions currently. I mean, I don't kind of want to use this to advertise, but do hit me up on Twitter if you're interested in my art, is what I would say to anyone listening right now. Truth be told, I'm trying to get money so I can fulfill this Switch pre-order, and I'm like £26 away, so come on, if anyone needs art, I'm your guy.
Well, now you're an additional £20.
Oh, I see what you did there. Oh god. Oh, I can just hear my wallet crying.
Yeah, I know, mine too. It's gonna be an expensive month.
It's gonna be a fun month, so it's gonna be a fun month.
I'm PushDustIn. You can find me on Twitter at PushDustIn, or you can stay subscribed to this channel or All Source Gaming on Twitter in order to stay up to date with more Switch news, discussions, and everything else. We do a lot of things.
And you never would have guessed you'd also find him on Source Gaming.
Yeah, sourcegaming.info. Imagine that.
Yeah. God. I wonder who runs that site. They must be like really charismatic.
No, not at all. Alright, well, thanks again for joining us, and I hope you guys have a good day.
Thank you very much for having me.
The audio used in this video is from Ben Briggs. Be sure to check out his website on twitchjams.com for more information.